David again. Just here to talk a little bit about an important thing I think to do with your gear is which is labeling. And I'm going to talk specifically about rock climbing gear and how I label my gear, but also just a couple ways that you might be able to label. A real common one that I used to do with all my gear is tape. Is taping my gear in a certain way to make it unique. I tried to find a unique color or something so that it stands out and it's easily recognizable. You can also use multiple colors when taping in a certain pattern as well to again differentiate yourself from other climbers. There's only so many varieties of tape sometimes, but what kind of tape, you might ask? Electrical tape is fantastic. It's really quite cheap. It comes in a decent variety of colors, but it's got a little bit of like stretch to it, which is nice. So you can, as you wrap it around a carabiner, for example, you can make it nice and tight, and it's got a really pretty good glue on it, and it sticks pretty well. So electrical tape is a great option. Athletic tape I've seen used as well. I feel like that comes off a lot easier. It doesn't stick very well. Duct tape is a good option. As far as coming in a variety of colors, duct tape has a ridiculous amount of colors and patterns and things, and so that can be a pro to that. One of the cons to tape in general, but especially duct tape, is that it can leave residue or that it can leave glue on your carabiners and on your hard goods and kind of wherever you're putting it, which can be annoying a lot of times, especially as it comes off. The other thing about tape is that it often comes off. It gets peeled off, or if you put it into a spot that is closer to the rope, or you're touching it a lot or rubbing on your other gear, it comes off. And so it can be a litter factor, and we're leaving little micro trash of tape all over the crags and stuff like that. Can be unfortunate. But we also have to kind of be relabeling it with tape quite often. I was kind of constantly adding new tape or more tape to my gear. So that's kind of something you have to be mindful of. So where to tape? Carabiners. Here's an old carabiner with actually a really good tape job on it. This tape's been on there for quite some time. But really taping nice and tight, and taping somewhere that's not going to be rubbed on with the rope or with other carabiners or other things you're attaching to this item. Also, just making sure you're not taping somewhere that's going to inhibit the function of the piece of gear. So avoiding the gate or certain areas of the gate might be important. But the stem of carabiners, the back stem, is actually a really pretty good spot if you're going to be taping on carabiners. Cams, if I were to tape on my cam, one thing I probably would want to avoid is taping on the stem of my cams, because again, with this motion, it'd have to go over the tape, and which one is going to peel the tape off, but also it could jam and just be annoying when I'm trying to utilize my cam. And so I would usually tape somewhere up here on the wire loop up here, maybe off in the corner, again, not where my runner is going to be attached to it, and rub on it, but somewhere kind of off to the side. Could be a good spot for tape. Let's see, same with a nut. The taping, kind of up here on the wire, or maybe here on the wire, would be a good spot. The next option that I think is a really great option, something that I used with all my gear, is nail polish. And it's cheap. It comes in a crazy amount of colors, which is really good. So you can find a color that's unique to you. And similar to the tape, you want to put it somewhere that's not going to rub off super easily. So a carabiner, I usually put on the stem as well. Just kind of on one side. Carabiners that or hard goods that have some features on it, and some depth in there. If you get, you put the nail polish or the paint or something in those the labels and in that engraving, it can stick around a little bit longer, which is nice. But this one's coming off a little bit. You can see it's starting to come off. I gotta redo that one. My quick draws, I do again a little green spot, and I do that on both sides of my quick draw. A nut, passive gear, I'll find a spot, on this little plastic, seems to work pretty good. You could also kind of do the wire if you wanted. Putting it right onto the nut itself would work too. Again, there's just usually a lot of friction and things that you might rub off a little faster. doing that. My gree, I've kind of put on the back side of it on the plastic. You could really put it almost anywhere on the gree. My ATC, I kind of stuck it in this little groove in the corner there. So that's nail polish or paint. And a lot of people just use dabs of paint as well. It's similar to nail polish. One note, whether you're taping or nail polish or painting, is I typically try to do mark it in the same spot or a similar spot on all of my gear. And so for all of my carabiners, I usually do the spine, and I usually do the brand name side. So if it says Petzl, I'll do it right on the P or right above the P. On my black diamonds, I do on the stem, but right at the black diamond logo. And for me, that just makes it easier. So if someone has a similar color of nail polish as me, which even if you get an obscure color, you'll be surprised how many people you run into that have that same color. Other things like soft goods, runners, labeling these or labeling your dog bones or something. I've seen people write to a marker like on the runner, put like their initials or something. There's a lot of talk about, do you use a marker, permanent marker on nylon? Does it erode it away or wear it down? If you're worried about that, there's usually a tag label on here. Use that. Put a nail polish mark on here, or you could write your initials or something like that. So yeah, other things I've seen, you can buy tags. I think I'm trying to think who Trango, I think, sells pre-cut little pieces of tape essentially that you can wrap around your gear. They kind of cut the edges so it's nice and smooth and things like that, and less likely to come off, which can be nice. I've seen other people put stickers, buy like a pack of crazy stickers, princess stickers or stars or something, and put it on their carabiners, but then use packaging tape, clear tape over it to make sure it stays. I've seen that. Again, paint of any kind or spray paint could work too. So there's a lot of varieties, a lot of methods out there. I hope that was helpful. That's kind of how I do most of my climbing gear. But I'd love to hear from you all. How do you label your gear, and what questions do you have? So I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you get outside a little bit and take advantage of the times when you're inside to kind of relabel your gear. Thanks.